Why the government didn't fund programs like this pissed me off, and the insurance companies were no better. They didn't cover dick. I knew there were grants available for families concerning services like this. I'd looked into it 3 months ago, but allotting for the time it took to process an application and the further time it took for families to receive said grant money, which according to the person I spoke to from one of the organizations, could take sometimes up to 6 months, I didn't bother taking that avenue. Plus, most parties took applications once a year, and there was always a deadline. First of the year, I'd missed it by 2 months. Didn't matter either way. I'd make sure he received the therapy no matter what I had to do. A horse neighed from inside the barn as I walked up the ramp leading to the office doorway, kicked the dirt off my shoes on the wooden post connected to the railing, and opened the door, stepping inside the tiny office space. Mona lifted her head at the sound of my entrance. She was the owner of the ranch, and the only person I dealt with when I came here. Everyone else tended to the horses or the clients, worked in the riding arena or around the ranch, or did other things that didn't involve being inside the office. I only ever spoke to her about 2 things every few weeks: money and progress. But I spoke to her enough to know she had a heart the size of North Carolina. She dedicated her life to helping improve the lives of others. Mona was good people, straight up. "Brian," she greeted me with a smile, pushed the glasses higher up on her nose, and set down the paper she'd been reading when I stepped inside, giving me her full attention. "It's good to see you," she added, sounding hopeful. She wanted me to hang around and talk. I knew this. Mona always tried putting her own version of therapy on me every time I stepped in here. The talk about your feelings kind of therapy I wasn't interested in, because she knew the story and thus felt sorry for me. I hated the pity. And like I said, I was only there to talk about 2 things. But Mona was cool, so I didn't fault her for wanting more out of me. I just never hung around long enough to give it to her. And I wasn't about to start now. I walked to her desk, carrying the envelope with my head down, eyes not focused on anything in particular, and doing this to avoid the compassionate look I knew was in hers. It was always there. "Got next round's payment. It's a little more than you ask for, so throw in an extra lesson or something. Whatever he wants. Maybe let him go longer on a few days if his parents are cool with that. Your call." I dropped the envelope on the desk and lifted my head to add, "Just make sure it stays with him." She placed her hand on top of the envelope. "Of course. It'll be put into Owen's account straight away." "Good," I said, nodding, then tucked my hands into my pockets and watched her slide the envelope into a drawer. "He doing okay? Is he improving?" Mona folded her hands in front of her. Her eyes grew soft and she sighed. I braced myself. "He's enjoying it, which is the most important thing, so he doesn't realize it's work for him when it is. Some activities he enjoys more than others. There are things the therapist asks him to do that he struggles with, but he pushes through because he wants to get to something he likes. That's typical. Not everything is going to come easy to him. You have to remember, in the end, this is still therapy. We want everyone to have a great time on the ranch, but if it was easy, they probably wouldn't need it, you know?" Again, I nodded. "But this isn't a cure. I wish it was, Brian. I wish this place had the power to change everyone's prognosis. But for kids like Owen who sustain that type of injury, we're riding on a lot of hope here." My lips pulled tight. I knew this. She didn't need to tell me. I knew after speaking to people in the medical field what the outcome was likely to be for this kid, but I'd also read up on this type of therapy. People recovered. Miracles fucking happened. Every day they happened. After months of being on a horse, some were able to do things now that they never thought they'd be able to do, like stand unassisted or take a step, which was why I knew this was going to work. It had to. He deserved the life he was supposed to have, and this place was going to give it to him. "If you want, you could stick around tonight and watch him in action, maybe talk to Mr. and Mrs. Burns and—" I turned and headed for the door, cutting her off.